It's been 10 years since a tragic accident rocked Australian cycling. Amy Gillett was 29 when she was struck and killed by an out-of-control car while on a training ride in Germany. Her teammates were badly injured, 2 critically. But amongst the grief, the accident has been the catalyst for change, both on and off the road. From Hobart, Scott Rowlandson reports.
I can't ever forget the scream from my husband, and I raced out of bed and he was pretty well hysterical, and we learnt that Amy had been killed. And I guess you could say our world just dissolved.
Since the death of their daughter, Amy, Mary and Dennis Safe have made it their life's work to make the roads safer for cyclists. In the last 10 years, 400 cyclists have been killed on Australian roads. Many more have suffered serious injury. One of the riders involved in the crash that killed Amy Gillett was Tasmanian cyclist Louise Padgett.
I was unconscious for 6 days. They didn't bother doing the skin grafts on my arm until a week later because they didn't know whether I would survive. I still have little bits of glass from the windscreen still coming to the surface, and it happens after each child. The immune system kicks back in and the body starts to find a few bits and pieces and reject those, so it's just ongoing maintenance.
She suffered severe head, chest and leg injuries and was in danger of having her arm amputated. When she returned home after the crash, the thought of getting back on the bike was a long way off.
Whether I will eventually have enough movement in my arms and strength to ride again is yet to be seen. But I am staying positive and remaining hopeful, and I'm lucky to be here. And we went to One Glass Bay.
That positivity paid off.
Slow down, don't push yourself. Okay. This is the biggest battle we have with you, slowing you down. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Is that new?
Yes.
Congratulations!
Thank you.
How exciting!
I completely forgot. Yes.
Oh, wonderful!
I can only manage coffee shop rides. I can't manage rides at the moment, being heavily pregnant. But I enjoy a coffee shop ride, and that just about pulls me up. But I'm very thankful to be able to get back on the bike, because the initial prognosis was, it wasn't likely. So obviously I was determined to prove them wrong.
Louise and her husband Mark have 2 daughters and another baby on the way. Something which might not have happened as soon as it did if it hadn't been for the accident.
In some ways, life's just been fast forwarded a little bit in parts for me, which means, I'm able to enjoy other things earlier.
Mark says they've taken a different attitude towards the whole experience.
I think, you see a lot of people who go through these sort of traumas and often because of the extent of their injuries, that can become the focus of their life thereafter. And we really wanted to make a point of that not being the case with Louise. Yes, certainly she's dealing with aftermaths of the accident on a daily basis, but we don't focus on that. We focus on what she can do and the fact that she's here. And I think that's the best way to sort of cope with something like that.
Olivia was on a bike by the time she was 2.5, and Emily was on a off the balance bike on a bike before she was even 3. So I am being supportive. It is hard. I am drumming into them safety.
It's that safe cycling message that's helped with the grieving process for Amy Gillett's mother.
I don't believe cycling killed Amy. I believe it was the ignorance and inexperience. And that's the same thing that kills many, many young people on our roads today, and so this needs a great deal of attention.
Not long after Amy was killed, her husband established a foundation in her name to improve the safety of cyclists.
I can remember someone coming here only a few days after Amy's death saying, you know, did we think this was a good idea? And, you know, I was barely thinking in those days, to be honest. Neither was my husband. But even then, you know, we could see that this could be something really positive coming out of Amy's death.
While other Australian states and territories have introduced measures to protect the safety of cyclists on the road, in South Australia they've become the first state or territory to implement laws through Parliament. They've legislated a minimum overtaking distance. Motorists must now give a minimum of 1 metre of space between a vehicle and a cyclist, with the distance expanding to 1.5 metres when speeds are over 60 kilometres per hour. If drivers don't allow enough space, they could be fined $347 and 2 demerit points. It's something Mary and the Amy Gillett Foundation have been advocating for.
I absolutely know that this will save cyclists' lives, and most importantly, it will help drivers understand that cyclists are legitimate road users with the same rights and responsibilities, but it will also emphasise cyclists' vulnerability.
Scott Rowlandson in Hobart.